welcome to Wednesday for the Pagan Perspective. I'm your host Eric, and this week's topic is the Abrahamic religion. Now this suggestion was sent to us by Camelot777. Thanks for the suggestion. We've been asked to give our thoughts on how we view the Abrahamic religion, monotheism, the people of the religion, how we talk to them, what we do when they, what we say to them when they come up and ask us. So, get into religious discussions and things like that, how we deal with them. Well, I'm going to go through the list. Okay, first, how do you relate to the people of Abrahamic religions individually? They're all people. They're just like you and me. Some of them speak English, some of them don't. Some of them have devout faith, and some of them don't. And they're just people. The people of any Abrahamic or monotheistic religion are just that, people. What do I tell them? I'm assuming this question means, what do I tell them about my faith? Well, generally I tell them that I'm part of a naturalist kind of, sometimes you can call it New Age. Some people call me Fluffy Bunny. I don't care. I'm okay with that. But I tell them that it's a polytheistic as opposed to a monotheistic, and that usually gets them intrigued, and then we go back and forth. I usually get along with everybody so long as they're willing to get along with me. I don't think religion is a social barrier. I really don't. Generally speaking, when I hang out with somebody, religion is not the first thing to come up. And if I'm friends with somebody already, and we're decent friends at least, if the subject of religion comes up, it's not a barrier because neither of us are trying to push it on one another. So when you are talking to people, one of the things is tips for talking to people of other religions. If you are having a religious discussion with somebody else, my tip is going to be, you can be passionate and not pushy. And if they get passionate and pushy, you can simply look at them and say something along the lines, and don't verbatim because sometimes it doesn't work just like this, but kind of feel out the conversation and say, you know what, I'm glad you have your faith. And I'm glad that works for you. I really, truly am. And you have to mean it. I mean, that's important. If you're just patronizing somebody, they're going to be able to tell. But you have to honestly be happy with the idea that they have religion for themselves. That's good. So do you. And you have to be willing to make that confrontation known by saying, you know what, I'm glad that your religion works for you. It doesn't really work for me. This is what I feel. And, if you, and I don't want to sound like a therapist or anything, because I'm not, but if you use more I statements in saying, I feel like this works better for me. I don't expect it to work for you because you're not me. But keep it personal to yourself and don't attack anybody else's religion. Just because their religion is different from yours doesn't make it wrong. I think everyone's religion is valid and useful and good, so long as they're not trying to harm anybody else or trying to force their beliefs and their values or morals or whatever you want to call it on other people. I don't see that there's a problem with it, ever. The next one is, how do you deal with someone trying to convert you? Once again, you say, that really doesn't work for me. I'm actually kind of flattered that you would think I'm a good enough person to want to join your church, but I'm really not interested in that. It doesn't work for me. The Abrahamic God doesn't suit me anymore, or never has, or whatever. Now, I grew up Christian. I know I'm bouncing around all over the place, but I did grow up Christian. I grew up in a faith known as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. LDS to some of you who are a little more familiar, Mormons to those of you who have maybe heard the term. Now, that's a religion that is Christian, contrary to much popular belief. They are Christian, they believe in Jesus, They believe in God. They believe in the Holy Ghost, all that fun stuff. That's how I grew up for, 16 years or so. And the people were what drove me away from the church, and my own understanding of the world and the deity and how it actually is what drew me away from Christianity in general. Not the church, but just Christianity in general. The last thing I want to touch on is, what do I think of monotheistic groups such as Jews, Christians, Muslims, Catholics, Mormons, other similar groups? As I stated before, I believe that religion has its place for everyone. Religion and churches are two separate things, in my opinion. And if this next couple of statements offends you, I'm sorry, I wasn't intending it that way. But I feel that religion is a matter of spirituality in practice. I feel that churches are organizations made by men to oppress the people in them, to force the people in them, or, that's not all a church is, but I feel that the biggest mistake churches make, and they all do inevitably, eventually, is they turn their doctrine and their gospel into rules that the members must adhere by or be in less standing. Now, this was actually why I left the LDS Church. I was done being looked down on because I didn't do all of the things I was supposed to. I drank coffee and I smoked cigarettes, still do. And those are things, coffee and cigarettes are two things in the Mormon religion. You are less of a Christian or less of a spiritual person if you do those things. Now, those are arbitrary rules that come from what they call the word of wisdom. Now, lots of different religions and churches and Orthodox groups have a similar set of kind of guidelines. Basically says, don't get yourself into anything that is overly addictive or bad for you. But they take it to just these extraordinary measures and say, don't drink coffee, don't drink tea, don't drink Coca-Cola because it has caffeine, and caffeine is an addictive substance. Oh no, don't do it! That was one of the reasons, is because I liked to drink Pepsi. I liked to drink sodas. I liked to, occasionally have a cup of coffee in the middle of the night so that I could stay up and hang out with my friends. And I was looked down on for it, which is why I stopped going to church. Now, my spirituality changed over the course of several different reasons throughout the course of time, and that's another story for another day. But individually, religions are not a bad thing. Religious practices, spirituality, not a bad thing, so long as it's not trying to oppress anyone or change someone's behavior. Even if you're trying to change someone for the better against their will, is still not good. That's my opinion. I do have lots of friends who are still, Christian, Catholic. I have a couple of Jewish friends, which they're fun to hang out with. People are not defined by their religion. People's religion is defined by their belief. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave comments if there was anything I didn't address or didn't understand and was answering improperly, or anything more you'd like to know. Feel free to leave comments or video responses, and I will get to them as soon as I possibly can. Thanks for watching, and until next time, Odin be with you.